Good morning, welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. Just a quick update because we really need to ask the question with this man in the door and the draw this morning is why did Celtic really leave it so late when it come to transfers this summer? It's a question that a lot of the Celtic fans will be asking, and the fact that we still haven't got over the calamity. The Almaty calamity. That's what we're going to call it, the Almaty calamity, because that's what it was. And Brendan Rodgers will be all happy with players that are coming in this week and this weekend and on Monday. Celtic will try to get as much business done before Monday because transfer deadline day finishing at 7 p.m. at night is going to be a bit touch and cloth trying to get players through the busy traffic of Glaswegian on that M8 and around trying to get people to Celtic Park for 7 o'clock at night on a Monday. Good luck with that. So what are Celtic playing at? What has been the agenda? Why haven't they got players in so quick? And there's just no explanation for it. There's no explanation for it at all. Brendan Rodgers has been crying out for the backroom staff, the powers that be at Celtic to get business done. And whose fault is it that we didn't qualify? Is it really the board's? Should the squad have been good enough? Was there enough in the squad to beat this team? Were there too many people thinking they were going? How long has Idah known that he might be leaving Celtic? That's another question that needs to be asked. There's so many questions that the Celtic media need to ask today, and this is a call out to all you guys and girls that go to the Celtic media conferences. Ask what has been the long-term vision for the transfer window, and why has the board waited until the very last minute? Why did they gamble with the Champions League? Because they did. They gambled and it didn't pay off. Now, I know that Brendan Rodgers will not be able to answer the questions. I know that Brendan Rodgers will be able to say, he will turn around and say, look, it is just, I can only deal with what I've got here. I can only deal with what I have. I can only put out the best team that I have. Is that deflection or is it the honest truth? You know, he cannot say too much. He'll be happy that Bill Wisher's in through the door. He'll be ecstatic that we've got another winger in. But with Yang about to leave the building, with Lewis Palmer already left the building this window, and we forget about him. You know, we forget about all the players that we've left. We've lost now. This is the reality where Celtic see themselves this morning. We've lost Kyogo in the last 8 months. We have lost Nico Kuhn and Adam Idah. That's over 60 odd goals a season that we've lost. Now forget about what you think about Adam Idah. Look at the number of goals that those three players brought to Celtic in the last 12 months. And we haven't replaced that. We sit here on the Friday, which should really have been the last day of the transfer window, but because the end of the month falls on the weekend, it rolls over to Monday. It is absolutely... No, it's 7 o'clock at night, I'm sure. Gav boy. I'm sure the transfer window shuts on Monday at 7 o'clock. It was extended to Monday due to the fact that it should originally the transfer window was going to close today because it'd been the Friday. It's usually the 31st. That falls on a Sunday. The fact that a lot of offices are closed on the Sunday, they extended it to 7 o'clock on the Monday. And the reason that they extended it to the Monday was because there's a lot of teams playing in Europe, and it was to get business done. I could be standing correct, but I'm pretty sure it's 7 o'clock on Monday. I'll just do a quick check. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yes, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. Rather than the normal 11 p.m. deadline. It does. Summer transfer in the Premier League and in the UK shuts at 7 p.m. on Monday the 7th. So there we go. It doesn't matter when the window closes. I mean, well, if it's 7 o'clock, if it's 11 p.m. Scotland, that's later than everyone else. That's all I'm saying. Because it says on the Tinternet, it does say that it's 7 o'clock. Go and check it out. Yep, 7 o'clock, Monday the 1st of September. And then it opens on the 1st of January 2026. 7 o'clock UK time that the transfer window closes. Anyway, does it matter? It's been too little too late. Do you know, deadline days is a damp squid. I think, I'm not saying that bringing players in won't be an exciting prospect. And, you know, I'm not motivated for the new. I mean, Bawisha coming in, and I was like, we reported that story about a week ago that it was a done deal, and Celtic have taken all this time to get it over the line and get him signed. And I mean, I did the video that it was done over a week ago when it was confirmed. Celtic just seem to be dragging everything out. It's like, I mean, you could send Michael Nicholson away for a takeaway, and you could say, mate, I'm starving. Go and get us a pizza or Chinese or Indian or whatever, and he'd come back a week later with a bit of toast, and you'd be starving. And you'd be like, what's that? Got a piece and jam, mate. You weren't specific. You give me a range of food, and I've brought you back a piece on jelly, wee piece on jam that you can't throw out. A 20-storey flat, 20,000 screaming Waynes will testify to that. We need to have a laugh about it, because the reality of the situation is the transfer window has been absolutely shambolic. Eddie says, I said a month ago, seen it coming. It's all the board's fault, but won't stop me going week out and week on, roll on Sunday. Yeah, it's not going to stop people going. It is shambolic. Should we be used to it? Anyone know what the Denmark striker is like? Stats look promising. I'm not looking at stats for anybody, because the amount of people that come on and they say, oh, that player looks fantastic. Stats look fine. It's about the striker needs wingers. It doesn't matter how good a striker is. We could have brought in Ronaldo in his old age from way down, get him out of retirement. You could put fucking David Beckham up front for us. And, you know, if he's not getting the service, hopefully Bawisha will be a player. And what does it say? I mean, there's still people saying that, look, I'm not worrying about it, because our number one striker is going to be a certain Japanese player. And it doesn't look like it's going to be true, because we're about to spend 8 million. Del Scott, I'm not even thinking about Sunday yet, mate. I'm not even thinking about Sunday yet. We'll think about that on Saturday morning. What's the expiry date on the jam? Is it tomorrow as well, Baz? It came off the pile with fire damage insurance job. You just know that's the Celtic way, isn't it? That is just exactly what would happen. It's true. You'd get the piece on jam. You'd get it with the jam that's out of date by about 10 years. Well, it says, I thought we would walk all over Carrot, didn't pay them any respect, didn't do our homework. Let's move on from it. Let's just move on from it. It's done. We move on, and we look forward to the Europa League draw. I've got the live thing. I'll take 7 million for Idah all day long, mate. All day long. Even if it's 5.5 million, as some people have said, it's looking more likely around about 5.5 million up front, and then add-ons. Do you know what? I mean, I've backed the guy as much as you want to back a Celtic player, but I've also said that he is not a first-team striker. You know, he was brought in to do a job at Celtic, and he found himself as first choice striker, and he was never meant to be his first choice striker. And I think that the pressure of that, took its toll. Do you know? And you've got to be fair on Adam. He didn't have Jota getting stuff in. He didn't have Kuhn getting balls into him. Do you know what I mean? There was a lot of other stuff around about the whole situation, and let's hope that we're rectifying a lot of that this weekend and getting players in. When we say sack the board, we need to point out what we actually want: new ownership. Yeah, that's never going to happen, mate. In 2 weeks' time, the whole sack the board thing will have disappeared, and it happens at this time of year every year. Unfortunately, it is a thing where you want the board to act quicker, and the reality is they don't. And this lies directly at the board. This situation that we find ourselves in this morning, and it's you even look. The warning signs have been there. The warning signs have been there from the day that we signed Adam Idah for $9 million. The contract negotiations that went over the entirety of the summer. The league had then started. Kyogo goes down. Oh, my shoulder. Oh, again, man. Brendan Rodgers looks up at the board and goes, "We've no fucking strikers on the bench, mate." And then next day we get Adam Idah for $9 million. Paid way over the odds. It's not Adam's fault. He was a £3 million striker all day long. We should have been making £3 or £4 million profit on Adam Idah. Let's all be honest. So I'm not going to blame Adam Idah for his price tag. We know the price that we should have paid for Adam. We should have made about £3 or £4 million profit on him. And it's not his fault. Do you know that this goes not just from this summer. The situation extends away back to when we brought in Adam Idah at $9 million. That was the warning signs were there. You know, the alarm bells should have been ringing. There should have been someone in Celtic media questioning. I should have been saying then. But we're that blind to what's actually going on at Celtic. And you remember Adam Idah had scored the goal in the cup final, so it's happy. We all wanted him in. But the reality is, the warning signs have been there for a year. And the board didn't heed them. The board went down the road of selling off your assets. You can't sell off your assets and expect to still be as good. And especially when you're left with Yang. And I'm glad that Yang's going to be on his way to the door, because that guy should never wear a Celtic shirt down. Yeah, he done well. Exactly. Adam Idah done fantastic. And he was brought in to bring in something different from Kyogo. He was a big, tall striker. He was a big, bulky guy. Kyogo, you have to remember what was going on at Celtic at the time. Kyogo was getting shoulder charged off the ball. As soon as the ball was coming forward, big defenders were just going bang, right into Kyogo. We had to rectify that. We had to bring in somebody that had a bigger stature that could stand up to these bulky boys and the shoulder charges. And that's Adam Idah fitted the bill. He fitted the bill all day long. He did well in the from the January to the May. He scored 10 goals, which I said and predicted that he would score, because he scored a similar amount of goals from the bench playing for Norwich. I said he would score 20 goals the next season. He did. Coming off the bench. He was never meant to be a number one striker. But unfortunately for him, it is all about goals, and it's a sorry state that he's been made to feel so bad. And I hope it doesn't affect him. And the way it won't affect him. Do you know, a football player, he'll brush it off and say, "Look, you know, it was pressure that I've never felt before. Did I pay any notice to it? I don't do social media, so you know the pressure was external. Football players go on. If you look at Lewis Palmer, he seems to be thriving. He bumped into O, and what is O? I'm not even going to show you. There was a picture of O and Lewis Palmer together, and O's wearing these socks. I always thought he was a bit strange, O, but he's wearing socks that have got like fingers on them. And I'm like, who wears socks like that? Anyway, he does. Anyway, no chance of getting over. Welcome Stevie May. It's not going to be Stevie May. The board has held the wallet a prisoner longer than Charles Bronson's been in the Adam Idah is a championship striker. Nobody was... Listen, see when Adam Idah was scoring 20 goals last season, there was nobody slagging off Idah then. We knew we needed a number one. The issue is, Adam was never meant to be a number one striker, right? The issue is that because he was forced to be a number one, the pressure's on him. Celtic never replaced Kyogo Furuhashi. You can't lose a prolific goal scorer like that gives you something completely different to Adam Idah, and then expect Adam Idah to do what Kyogo does. He was never going to do it. That's like asking Chris Sutton to be Henrik Larsson. It's just never going to happen, is it? And I know it's a crazy analogy, but it's what you're talking about. It's like asking Chris Sutton to be as mobile and athletic as Henrik Larsson was. And Chris Sutton would look at you and go, "You're fucking mental." I can't do what he does. At least Chris Sutton would admit it. Do you know what I mean? But in modern day, guaranteed Adam Idah scores goals on Sunday, and now he's off. He's not going to be here on Sunday, Michelle. He's going to be away today. He will not be here for the game on Sunday. He will be sold today, and Celtic will try and get someone else in. And I could see Sunday just being a complete laugh of a game because they're so bad. If it was the Celtic team from this time last season, you would be trying to get a 7-0. Do you know, if we had the team that we had at the beginning of last season playing this game, we would be looking at 6 or 7. We'd be looking at cricket score to try and take off them. But the buck stops with the billionaire Dermot Desmond. He is tasking Celtic fans. He's taking Celtic fans to the cleaners. A simple boycott is the only way to lose. It's never going to happen, mate. I know what you're saying, but it's never going to happen. Adam Idah, the problem is mentally. He has all the tools. Away to Kilmarnock, he was outstanding. I thought, here we go, boys, a player, but sadly, it isn't there. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Alistair's been praying for Adam to go. I'm just saying, we've been left with Shin Yamada, who hasn't set the heather on fire, Callum Osmond, and that's it, as it stands. Going into a derby game with Shin Yamada and Callum Osmond as your main strikers doesn't fill me with joy. And let's face it, are you really going to trust Dyson Maeda in front of goals just now? Because if Adam Idah's got to get stick for his missed opportunities, do you know, you can't with the same breath, you can't look at little Dyson Maeda and go, "You've got a clean slate, mate," because he's not. Do you know? He's not. He's not the man coming down from the heavens to score a bucket load of goals at the moment. If you look at the clear misses that he has he's missed. Shell says, "I feel for Idah, we're a bit slack over his price tags, not his fault. Any shit days, his grief is 10 times worse. Him and his family really wanted to be at the club." Yeah, and that's what makes it harder for Adam. You know, it's not often that you get Celtic. We talk about wanting Celtic men at the club, and you can look at Luke McCowan, you know, and you're thinking it's just not, but there's always, look, if he's not good enough and he can't take the pressure, so be it. He gets moved on. This is like you burnt your house down and you go in for house insurance that you didn't renew because you wanted it cheaper. It is that, innit? It is that. Idah will go down well there. Yeah, I think he will. Paul's in the house. Paul Baird's in the house. Let's see how many minutes it takes him to say, "Rodgers out! Rodgers out!" Delia Smith nearly had the cardiac arrest when we expected when she got 9 million. Yeah, this is true. Rodgers never fancied Kyogo. The wee man's dip in form under him. No, Mo, we know that Kyogo wanted away from the summer. That's the reality. Kyogo didn't want to stay at Celtic for as long as he did. So you can't blame Rodgers for playing a player that wanted away. That comes down to the Celtic board again. Brendan said, let's not change history. Let's not change the facts as it stands. Let's just try and stick to facts. And Kyogo wanted away. It's nothing to do with Brendan. You can't fucking polish a turd. If the shite doesn't want to be here, the shite's going to play shite. It's as simple as that. I mean, I always like your comments, but Kyogo wanted away. And Brendan Rodgers' exact words were, yeah, we've known for a number of months he wanted away in the summer. Anyway, pish versus shit, who wins? Could this be the worst? I need to get a comment, actually. There was a comment. Oh, where was it? Could this be potentially one of the worst Glasgow derbies that we will ever see in our lifetime? The Glasgow derby used to be a fantastic occasion, and it used to be 7,500 Celtic fans trooping up to Ibrox, as I've done on many a time. One of the best times is when, yes, Lee Griffiths, I walked in with Lee Griffiths standing right next to me, and we walk into Ibrox. He was injured and he goes upstairs, and at the end of the match he's fucking giving it big licks with the tricolour. Absolutely fantastic day. And when the Celtic players that weren't playing used to sit in behind the goals on the top tier at Ibrox, and it was fucking joyous. You used to go in and wind that lot up, and it was like, you would out-sing them for Simply the Best and stuff, just to annoy the friggin' daylights at them. It was brilliant times. But since Rangers died and came back as a new co and went through various managers, and Brendan Rodgers has seen off quite a lot of those managers, and could he be about to see off another manager? And will a really bad performance by Celtic be enough to get it over the line against a completely woeful, terrible, getting beaten 9-1 in Europe side by a vegan? Oh, Jesus. It's going to be an interesting game this weekend, to say the least. It is going to be an interesting. Let me just jump back into the comments. I'm just going to jump right through. You wouldn't think that we're top of the league. Exactly. You wouldn't think that we were top of the league and undefeated in the league. But this is all the fault of the board. It is all the fault of the board. How can you respect Rodgers? He's a joke. Got turned over by the lowest team face. Should be sacked. Martin's our 15-minute manager, including McCoy's. That has to be some kind of record, doesn't it? Has to be some kind of record. Anyway, right. Make sure you join me at 11:40. I think it's scheduled for. Make sure you join me at 11:40, where we'll wait to see where we're going in Europe, and we'll sit with apps open, waiting to book flights. Who's going to Europa League games away? Who's going to Europa League games away? I think I will. I can only wish Brendan Rodgers off soon. Jesus. Anyway. Right, that's me done and dusted for this video this morning. It's just a quick added one, because I think I needed to get some stuff off our chest, so that when we go into the next video, we've forgotten about, and we're a little bit more excited. So that was the whole purpose of this video, just to get all that negativity out there, get that done and dusted first thing in the morning, and then we'll put it to bed. Brendan Rodgers is a better manager than the Sevco manager. That's what will make the difference. Yeah, I mean, they're shite. If we can't beat that lot and put them down to 9th in the league or whatever, then Brendan Rodgers needs to walk. Anyway, on that note, the missus has just walked back in. Time to go for breakfast. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.